아 다르고 어 다른 거야. 봐봐. 폭신. 주는 감각이 전혀 다르잖아. 폭신은 무거운 헤어젤을 발라서는 구현이 안 되는 거라고. 퍼석과 파삭도 달라. 파삭하게 한 녀석은 그래도 팔 한 짝으로 봐줄 순 있다만 퍼석은... 내가 그것 때문에 장부조항 이렇게 해석해도 되냐고 형님들께 여쭈기까지 했잖냐. 처형 대상으로 둬도 되냐고.
Wow, he certainly likes to talk, doesn't he? Greetings and salutations, everyone. I'm Ekamek, this is Limbus Company. You know why we're here. We're here for the Uptie story and details on Blade of the House of Spiders Ryoshu.
나락으로 데려가 주지. 아비들이 태워지고 베어질 수만 있다면 잊고 싶은 모든 추악한 것들을 던져두고 더 이상 떠오르지 못하게 가라앉힐 나락에 기꺼이 태워주고 말고 모아라. 그곳에서 모든 내가 모든 당신들을 베기 위해 기다리고 있을 테니.
Alright, so something I think they never properly explained the option for. We're not only looking at that, we're also looking at fourth match flame, thread spin 5. Every fourth skill this unit uses gains 4 final power and inflicts 4 burn on hit. It already did that. If this skill is a wrath skill, deal burn potency on all targets divided by 2 additional damage to a maximum of 20%. So at 40 burn, it gains maximum power there. If the skill is an ego skill, apply the following effects at the start of the first coin. Heal 10 SP for a plus coin. Lose 15 SP for a minus coin, but cannot reduce below negative 40. Before attack, deal 5% damage for every 1 sum of burn on all targets, to a maximum of 100%. So 100% divided by 5. You'd think I'd know this stuff. I think that's 20. So 20 burned gain max power there. On kill gain attack power. Well, I already did that. On hit, deal burn on target times 2% of this coin's final damage as wrath damage to a maximum of 20%. Reduce the coin power of the corrosion to negative 16. So this now rolls a 26 minimum. That's actually pretty handy. It's also become an unbreakable coin. Before attack, deal 5% damage for every sum of burn on all targets. On clash lose, base power minus 16. Gain 3 attack power up next turn, or gain 3 attack power up and 10 burn next turn. On hit, deal burn on target times 3% of this coin's final damage to a maximum of 30%. And burn. Okay, if I hit select crafting ingredients, I think that works. Okay, that's a weird, messy requirement, but whatever. Ego thread spun. And now it has an animation. Cool. But not in the zoom in mode, don't be silly. But the actual thing you came here for, an analysis and reading of the Uptie story. So, Skill 1, triple slash, gain 2 poise count, gain a poise, gain 2 poise, gain 2 poise, inflict 2 bleed count on crit, inflict 1 burn count on crit, inflict 2 blade trail after image, and inflict a blade trail after image equal to entanglement on self. Max stack of 4. On crit, inflict 2 bleed. On crit, inflict slash damage equal to entanglement times 2% of this coin's final damage. Slay the Heavens Tiansha. This skill does not trigger defense skills. External effects cannot trigger this skill to be reused. Deactivate base factors decreasing sanity while using this skill. For this encounter, lose 1 offense level, gain base power +1 for this unit's attacks 4 times per encounter. The increase to base power does actually make up for the offense level drop. Oh, it also has a +5. This is +2. And she has +2 on defense level. On kill, heal 20 SP. Gain entangled life equal to damage dealt using this skill. Gain a stack for every HP damage dealt by using this. Inflict 20 Blade Trail Afterimage. If the target is a House of Spiders ally, deal 120% as fixed damage. How does that saying go again? That you gotta venerate your parents like you venerate the very heavens? Skill 2, Triple Slash Echo Shear. Gain 2 poise count, gain 2 poise on crit inflict a bleed. Inflict 2 burn on crit inflict a bleed. Inflict 2 burn on crit inflict a bleed. On crit inflict entanglement times 3% of this coin's final damage. 10 + 4 inevitable termination. This skill does not trigger defense skills. External effects cannot trigger this skill to be reused. Gain a poise count. If this skill was triggered by skill 3, apply attack weight equal to the enemies that have Phantom Trace. Max stack 1, take extra damage from Blade Ryoshu. Prioritize enemies that have Phantom Trace. Target's Phantom Trace expires. Deal 30% damage on critical hit, inflict 2 Blade Trail Afterimages, inflict a Blade Trail Afterimage equal to Entanglement, activate Burn on target, target loses a burn count, inflict Slash Fragility. Defense, Phantom Step. Target a House of Spiders ally with the lattermost deployment order, twice per turn. At 1 string severance, target an additional ally. A skill end of all skills equipped by the target, or if the target is staggered, or if the target does not have any remaining skills to be used, use Slay the Heavens Tiansha against the target as an unopposed attack once per identity. Prioritize House of Spiders Sinclair last. Combat start, gain 3 poise count once per turn. What you're pursuing is my phantom. What an ingenious way to use the Dahui Star Blade, the sword that always leaves a lingering something in its wake. Attacks that are impossible to avoid seem a bit cheap, but I've got to say I like that sword. The way of the blade, huh? Yeah, sticking to a single path like a one-track minded dumbass will get you cut eventually it'll get you to cut stuff like space too. Oh, but don't flatter yourself, it just makes the split space streamer like that a bit yes. Give it some time. The cut closes like it was never there in the first place. This indeed paves the new avenue in the field of space rending techniques. Have you heard? One might think rending the very fabric of space is a combination of the way of the blade. But the path extends beyond that. Continued training and one develops their own unique style of doing so. It adds another layer of artistry by leaving unconventional touch to the universal technique, allowing for the rent to linger, or sometimes be reduced into the flash of an instant. It is somewhat of a point of pride for those who walk the way of the blade, meaning it is also a frequent point of contention in the field. It is reminiscent of the days I used to engage in discourse of comparable belligerence with other maestros. It feels like these are all cut-ins from the Nurse Fathers, actually. Taxidermied and immobilized does the foe lie in the trace of the blade has rent in space. Such blade work is often of utter keenness that its victims know not that they have been hewn, or even if they are somehow cognizant of the fact, they are fixed by the blade trail that has seized the space they inhabited, only to bleed when the moment passes. Yet, the difference lies in how it cuts. The blade has indeed hewn but a single trace, yet in sheathing it, the wielder has conjured in their mind the multitude of slashes that have followed the same path. A most precise technique. Often have I come across techniques such as that slash in the days following the incident. Techniques that seem to contradict the very nature of causality. Let's be fair, the only important thing here is this. Combat start, gain 3 poise count. She can help balance out her poise count because this skill is definitely poise negative, and this skill is poise negative. But you can use this to increase her poise count at the cost of cutting down any Nurse Father units that you probably want to keep for other reasons. Passives. Upon entering the encounter, gain Entanglement and Severance. Max stack of 4. Skill and passive effects can increase min and max stack of this effect to 5 and 9 respectively. Gain 1 stack for every defeated House of Spiders Nurse Father identity. Gain a different unique effect based on which House of Spiders ally was defeated. And so let it be cut and severed, even if it strays from what must be done. Take less damage for every stack. 30% isn't too bad, but... yeah, they give us 4 stacks because she's the Pinky Nurse Father, the others are all... the other Nurse Fathers are the other fingers, 4 fingers. Upon entering the encounter for the first time, for every 3 of the House of the Spider identities in the loadout, including this unit, raise entanglements, min and max stack cap by 1 to a maximum of 3. Okay, so how many can we have at the moment? Ryoshu, Sinclair, Forced, Honglu. Yi Sang, Don Quixote. That's 6. We get a 7th with Ishmael. And then an 8th and 9th come from the future. Yeah, so you could get up to 10 of them because you've got Utis and then the 2 Thumb House of Spiders characters. If any House of Spiders allied identities are on the field, transfer HP damage taken to them, to the one that has the lowest current HP percentage. When this unit takes damage that brings its HP down to 0, this unit's HP does not drop below 1 for the turn. Apply the following effect based on House of Spiders allied death. Gain an Entanglement. For this encounter, gain additional effects based on which of the House of the Spiders allied identity was defeated. I feel like they shouldn't... They did the same thing with Honglu. They cram all this information into one identity, but then when they release new identities, they put it in those ones instead. I think what they should do is go back to passives and change those. Either change each of the House of the Spiders identities so it's not all crammed into one place, or when new identities come out, add them to this so it is all in one place, but you don't have to go scouring across everyone to figure out what it has to do. Like, don't do this half-hearted thing. On base attack skill use, convert final coin into unbreakable and deal extra damage with unbreakables. On base attack skill use, gain poise. On crit, inflict 1 sinking. So you can very easily skyrocket up your poise count, your poise potency generation with her, so it boils down to the poise count. Middle Apprentice Ishmael, defense level +2, inflict extra burn. House of Spiders Honglu, gain somatic fishing inspired melody. Raise her mana and max speed and gain a clash power. Ring Apprentice Forced, gain shield equal to 20% of HP every turn start. House of Spiders Sinclair, gain a poise count and crit damage up at every turn start. It isn't quite perfectly Yeah, the problem is that her personal... She probably needs to use Blind Obsession to balance out her poise count usage. Then whenever she pulls her skill 2, it's going to have +2 poise count in the long run. Unless this... No, this one gains 1 poise count. It would break even. So yeah, where were we? Yeah, she gains crit damage up and poise count at every turn start. If there are no identities left to substitute or return, House of Spiders Ryoshu gains an extra skill slot for every 3 House of Spider allies that are defeated. This effect cannot increase skill slots beyond maximum skill slot cap. For certain game content, this effect can activate regardless of content's skill slot increase restriction. So it does work in Refraction Railway, is what I'm assuming here. This identity only counts as an identity that applies burn, bleed, and poise. Screw Don Quixote. When conditions are met, change battle music for the rest of the encounter, excluding certain encounters. The things I dread seeing again always come back. The things I ache to see again never do. That is why I must steel my heart cold in the moment of reunion. Turn start, inflict Phantom Trace on a random enemy. In focused encounters, the core. Inflict Phantom Trace on one additional enemy for every 3 defeated House of Spiders' allied identities. Up to 3. Wait, so she just throws that Phantom Trace out immediately. If an enemy that has Phantom Trace is the main target of this unit's base attack skills, use Inevitable Termination as an unopposed attack skill. Before using the base attack skill once per turn. Inevitable Termination. Base attack skill against a target that has Phantom Trace, convert all coins into unbreakable coins and gain final power. And then gain an entanglement once per turn. So this kicks in once per turn, but this activates every time you hit someone with Phantom Trace. Gotcha. Does this have poise count? 1 poise count, 1 coin. She breaks even. Except for here, so they wanted to make sure that she didn't do anything crazy with that. She's just barely below being a poise balanced unit, unfortunately. She needs ego to tidy it up. Anyway, Uptie 1. Raise her speed from 3 to 5 to 3 to 6. At 6 poise, gain coin power. Gain 3 poise count to match the coin count number. Gotcha. Gain a poise, gain 2 poise, gain 2 poise, yeah, etc, etc. Triple slash Echo Shear. At 6 plus poise, gain coin power. Gain 3 poise count. So now it's been balanced out. Combat passive unlocked. Deal 1% damage on critical hit using base attack skills for every surplus poise past 20 on self. To maximum of 10%. On crit using base attack skills, inflict a blade trail after image. Take extra damage from slash skills for every 10 stacks. Great Trichoclism Ego passive can be activated using attack skills targeting allies. Right, the one I don't use because I prefer the ego resource. After using an attack skill, if an enemy is staggered or defeated, gain crit damage up. So, defeating an ally will give her crit damage up. That's what it's saying. Uptie 2. No song and dance about it. Speed range increases from 3 to 6 to 3 to 7. Unlock her skill 3, Rend Space. On use, final power for every 4 poise on self to maximum of 5. So it rolls 10 plus 10 for 20. That's slightly below other capstone single coin, unfortunately. But anyway, final power plus 1. Deal extra damage for all the entanglement on self. Gain poise. Gain attack weight for all the entanglement on self to a maximum of 2. Deal extra damage for every attack weight beyond the number of actual targets. In focused encounters, the parts. Attack end. Randomly inflict entanglement on self plus 10 blade trail after image between targets hit by the skill. Deal 30% damage on critical hit. Inflict burn, bleed, activate burn on a crit, activate bleed on a crit. Deal slash damage equal to entanglement times 3% of this coin's final damage. So it could be 27%, that's not bad. Rend Space Echo Shear. For every string severance on self, this skill loses a base power, but gains an extra coin 1 before using coin 2. The final coin gains coin power for every entanglement on self. Yeah, that's from having Nurse Father ally deaths. That sounds like you could have a lot of coins there. The final coin gains coin power +1 for every entanglement on self, deal extra damage for every excess attack weight beyond actual targets, raise entanglements min and max stacks by 1, reset the entanglement on self to minimum stack, twice per encounter, consume 50 Dahui Starblade, gain a poise count, inflict a burn and a bleed, deal extra damage on a critical hit, consume all blade trail after image on the target. Deal slash damage equal to blade trail consumed divided by 10% of this coin's final damage. Deal slash damage equal to entanglement times 4% of this coin's final damage. Activate burn on target and lose a burn count. Activate bleed on target and lose a bleed count. It only raises the min and max stack by 1 twice per encounter, so I think you're going to hang on to your entanglement after that. I've already forgotten how you get extra stacks of entanglement. This is such a novel. This is just a complete novel's worth of identity stuff. Ren space string connection. Unclashable, 5 attack weight. This skill does not trigger defense skills. Gain 5 poise, gain Shin, Dahui Star. Min and max speed +2. Upon using a base attack skill, gain poise potency and poise count. Her poise count is stable now. Take 20% less damage from unopposed attacks and unbreakable coins. Ooh. Remove this unit's first stagger threshold once per encounter. Inflict 5 burn and bleed. Activate burn on target, lose a burn count. Yeah, it's the secondary attacks that cannot reuse this coin, right. Oh hey, triple slash. Raise the coin power to 3, so we're rolling an 11. Raise the base power of triple slash Echo Shear to 4, so we're now rolling a 16. Combat passive unlocked. Dahui Star. At 50 plus Dahui Star, activate Ren space string connection against a random enemy at the very end of the turn. After using Ren space string connection due to this effect, apply the following effects on self. Cannot retreat. At 50 plus Dahui Starblade, replace a base skill with Ren space Echo Shear at the next turn's start. Prioritize the skill on the leftmost slot's bottom row dashboard. Ren space Echo Shear, Ren space string connection. So it's saying use your third skill 3 the first time you get 50 Starblade. After that, 50 plus Starblade will give you the skill 3 2. Does that one consume 50 Dahui Starblade? Gotcha. At 3 Pride Resonance, when the ally with the earliest deployment order uses a base skill, the said ally gains 2 poise potency thrice per turn. Okay. Fingers, House of Spiders, Pinky. Total sum of blade trail stacks inflicted by this unit. Gotcha, that's what I was wondering. I should have just clicked on it in here, shouldn't I? Can gain 25 per turn, so it takes 2 turns for her to wind up that big punch.
모든 세상에 있을 당신들을 패고 모든 당신들을 세상에서 드러낸다. 베어진 것들은 모두 나 홀로 머금을 테니 그저 아레아식으로 돌아갈 뻔.
cut and sever. Let's all be severed and burned away until not a single strand of their frayed threads remains. The House of Spiders. All of you nurse fathers. Every last trace will be scraped out. I see a thread. A thread I failed to sever. A strand I must cut off. It gleams with terrible clarity. And along that vision, crashing upon me are waves of sights I wish I'd never had to recall, leaving behind only the futile wish of never returning. Like a hollow seashell washed ashore, the entangled clue of time devours my consciousness. There's no calendar in here, but I know how many days have passed. No clock either, yet I can tell whether it's day or night. Some things, though, elude all attempts at understanding. Why do I have to be locked in the vault? Why do my mums and dads always try to keep me in here? Am I being grounded? Or am I useless to them now? Questions that remain unanswered all. With those doubts lodged deep in my mind, I again endure the day not knowing when it ends, even as I was certain of its eventuality. I won't make a sound anymore, even when I'm scared. I'll memorize everything you like too. I'll learn how to use a sword. I'll learn it real fast. I won't run away even if it hurts. So please, please let me out. Dad, Mom. Just as I was growing numb to every shade of darkness drowning me, the door, which would not budge no matter how many times I banged on and clawed at, opened with such ease that what I'd had to endure seemed absurdly pointless. Dad, I promise from now on out. I had no expectations. Didn't hope to find any kind words or concerned eyes. Those, after all, belonged to a world as distant as one end of a corridor from the other. But I wanted answers, that's all. Why did they seal the vault? Had I done something wrong? Is there something I could do to be better? Questions like that. However, even that seemed to be too much to ask. You have yet to enter an entanglement. Let us check again in 2 days. As the nurse fathers return to their corridors each, leaving behind nothing but an uninterested comment or two, dry as dust. The cycle of beatings that continues without any purpose. The ever-changing whim that seeks to force me into the frame of arbitrary tastes. The reveling applause, accompanied by an observant contemplation. The excruciating agony that comes from being treated as mere material. These 4 threads twine to make a rope that tightens around my neck, each pulling without end from their own direction, each egregiously making their presence known. That is why they will never be able to go on living without me. They are dregs that have been abandoned. There is no other thread that they can cling to. And so, I will cut off the only strand they have left. And if I am to sever myself away, I must do it by means of severing other things. I swing my blade with reckless abandon, cutting down everything that enters my sight. Here is a father so vacuous he cannot hope to capture hellscape without seeing with his own eyes. The fool that craves for parched inspiration and stone-dead creativity, without ever realizing that the tip of his brush has long dried. Whenever I open my eyes, I am almost stepping over the threshold of death, standing on the far shore of the hereafter. With each carve that sheds the spores for me, with each brush stroke that paints the drawing paper over with the horrid scenery of hell, my throat tears itself hoarse, and the beating of my heart grows so rapid it feels ready to split my chest open. A dramatization meant to stage the cruelest magnificence. The pain is unbearable. It convinces me that I will die from it. But the nurse father knows the limits of my body all too well. The material that I am is trimmed in shapes until I am gasping for my last breath, screaming at the top of my lungs in impossible pain, just not close enough to black out. And so whenever I feel the black and blue bruises on my body smarting and throbbing, I trace back my mutilated memories. When is this pain from? The present? The past? Or perhaps someday in the future that has not yet arrived? If it comes from the present, then it should have already ended, because now is just too brief. The moment the world touches the tongue, it has already passed and become the past. This pain, this wound, this scar, however, they never pass. They would stay where they could be seen, and the next moment they would take root where they could not. Pain always intends to be a thing of the immediate past or the immediate future. And even in pain I am denied the experience of living in the now. Like a butterfly that mourns its flower, even as its body is torn apart. Like a butterfly that refuses to fly away, no matter how many times it is stomped upon. To say that the butterfly stayed would be wrong, or that it forgot how to fly for that matter. It is simply that it has never learned to fly in the first place. From the moment it emerged from its chrysalis, its wings have been caught in the spider web. Fluttering is not flying. Wings that have only fluttered are wings in name only. This butterfly is but myself, but cannot be myself, but doesn't know how to fly either. It cannot pass like the present. It simply stays here in this place. The nurse father knows this better than anyone. That's probably why fists are raised at me without even a moment's hesitation. I am beaten to satisfaction. Whatever is within reach is thrown at me in a fit of rage. The profanities pouring out become needles stuck embedded in my heart. But the nurse father knows I can never run away. Yet even as I find myself at the receiving end of the fist, day after day, hoping that the nurse father's anger would subside, I still find myself unsure where that furying wrath stems from, or why I must withstand all the thrashing. Each bout of blind rage that leaves me scarred also leaves a lesson. The lesson that living in the hereafter is no different from trying to live through the dark of the night with nothing to rely on but a single lamp. I could step onto any strand of time, but in none of those strands did I manage to leave this corridor. So I tried to find a reason to live, the smallest attachment that would somehow make it bearable, the fetter that would keep me bound to life, the lamp that would help me last through the night. Sometimes I would go looking for it in those who came to the house as tutors, at other times in the most insignificant things strewn about the floor. But whatever I managed to find would be pushed away from me, or smashed broken, even, always just because it's not one of them wants. The things that pity me and the things I pity are all ruined and destroyed alike, as a single whim of the nurse fathers. Shaved down, no, hacked apart, no, sliced off and severed. Sliced and severed in savage rapture, and yet, even then, remains unsevered that anxious, unpleasant aftertaste of looking upon loose ends that are not tied. Then there's that immature, cowardly mind, unable to bear even the slightest discomfort and would not relent without immediately destroying each and every annoyance. By the mere act of such an existence, the threads around me snarl and knot. In those moments, I would remain in the empty room where the nurse father had left, failing to hold back the tears that streamed down my face. Perhaps the me of tomorrow had snatched all the reserves of sorrow meant for me and spent them empty. Because today, no tears come out, as though the wellspring had run dry. I hear it, the sound of rusted shackles dragging heavily. It doesn't come from beneath my ankles, but instead rustles up from the deepest reaches of my memory. Everything that surrounds me, layered around me, is full of lies. Things painted over with anguish, steeped in more anguish, twist and coil through my life. Entanglement with such complexity that they can no longer be untangled. They're packed so tightly I can feel myself choking. I want to get out. I need to get out. But desperation alone does not open the door. Darkness without a single crack, silence swollen out of all proportion. That is what this vault is. I've grown too big to fit inside its tiny space. I could step out, but there will be no place for me in that narrow room. And yet, because I live in that narrow room, in the house of spiders, I've ended up in this tiny, lightless vault. My little world, my cramped room, the birdcage I can never escape from, perhaps a place that makes me homesick, a place that does not welcome me. Why am I even trying to leave? The door won't open, will it? We're getting a lot of comments that also match up with Lamp Ego. It kind of makes me wonder if maybe for next Walpurgisnacht, yes, we could get a Lamp Ego for Gregor. But what if we get a Lamp Ego for Ryoshu? And even if I go outside, who will be there to welcome me? As though to bury the fear that follows the question, after images painted over with anguish, steeped in more anguish, twist and coil through my life, entangled with such complexity they can no longer be untangled, and all of them crash over me. They're packed so tightly I can feel myself choking. Layer upon layers of after images, lives, selves, all surrounding me. I am born from myself. I grow helplessly, I grow relentlessly. You have entered a temporal entanglement, Yoshihide. Only then does a thin strand of light make its way into the darkness. They are needles that prick my eyes, the beginning and the end I am to meet, the threads that are nothing but pain. Some things cannot be lost merely by forgetting. There are things that can only be forgotten by losing them. I must sever away every thread wrapped around me. I must cut the nurse fathers down, so that not a single strand may surface again, nor look up at the sky, so that no one and nothing at all may call my name. My head feels light. I no longer sense the omnipresence of the horrible memories that had taken up residence on the countless strands of time. As though swinging the blade, Ariashiki has severed the binding thread that had been weighing me down. I inhale deeply, then exhale. I close my fingers into a fist, and open them again. Even that small gesture feels almost refreshing. Yoshihide, Yoshihide, Yoshihide. The nurse fathers cry out, calling my name. What makes them, the heartless men and women who merely watched in silence even as I writhed in pain, scream with such despondence? I had been called by that name countless times, yet it carries a disquieting echo today. So, I wait for the pain to end. To end? No, not to end. There is an undeniable dissonance in my saying it. Even if it ends, what good would that do? What would I do in the aftermath anyway? A pain that has ended is an unfurnished room. There's nothing after the end. Just like in the picture of books a nurse father used to read me. It's a little too late to face the unending now and hope that something would change. I floundered in suffering because I was unable to recognize that truth. I would scratch away at the walls, suppress the welling tears, and sometimes sit in expressionless silence as my mind raced in aimless terror. The nurse father read me a story once. The story was about a man who weaves a pair of wings for himself, soars up high, and faces the brilliant light in the sky. But the story did not end there. It ended when the man plunged into the lapping waves, screaming as fire consumed his wings. The nurse father's tale continued stubbornly until it reached a disturbing end. I would ask for another tale, hoping to wash away the unsettling aftertaste of the one before. But it all ended the same way. In tragedy. My choice of books was limited to what the nurse father had given me, my will trapped in this narrow world the nurse fathers made. Every choice, a meaningless formality. This isn't a one small change led to a completely different world. No, it feels like a lot of things ended up different because he wasn't the sort to finish his books. Ryoshu never got locked up in the safe for a long time. Etc, etc. I'm sure if I think hard enough I could think of others, but not for now. Whichever path I walk, I remain in the House of Spiders. No matter where I go, I remain at the very heart of the web. Though sleep was my only refuge from the despair that weighed me down like waterlogged clothes, even there, the terrible moments that would come to me uninvited, shackling me to the waking world. But no, perhaps it isn't that my sleep has stayed. I slept yesterday, so I'm awake today. Yes, that's all this is. What comes after today is yesterday, not tomorrow. The sleep will soon claim me, with or without my permission. I open my eyes, welcomed by unyielding inevitability and the blue dimming lights. Every story that is told is designed to end. Because as twisted and tangled we may have become, we've all gazed at the same single world, so that no entangled thread of time goes lonely. So that I won't be lonely. I must read the tale to its end, and steep myself in the tragedy I already know too well. You people wouldn't know this, but every single one of myself has held on to one another, refusing to ever let go, no matter which strand of thread I peered into. That's how I know the end and the beginning of this house of spiders that has encased me for so long. A tiny world that was mine only because I was born, because I exist, because someone remembered me. They were here, the Nurse Fathers, in each scene that I was a part of, in every single one that took place in the House of Spiders. Not even a day or an hour of my time has gone by without them being a part of it. And the spiders built a house in the corners of my memories, the Nurse Fathers tainting every hour of my life they inhabit. And of course, even that memory I abominated, and there was nothing to stay my sword hand. You nurtured my world into a world of you, a world of pain and sorrow where its leaves seek not the sunshine, but death. Let's put an end to this tragedy. It has long overstayed its welcome. Let's cut and sever. Because I relish in the silence that has always followed every time you are ripped away. The Nurse Father's voices grow faint, even in the moments that ambush me. Everything falls away, severed, burned into empty whiteness, delaminated from the world, leaving only scattered instants, undulating between the shattered memories. The screaming, the struggling, all of it is then reduced to inconsequential instants that lie beyond the edge of perception. String severance. Severing the memories, severing the Nurse Fathers, severing myself. Trichoclism. Everything that comprises a man is cut away, slice by slice. Even the things that would have filled the void become hollow themselves. Without anything to want, without anything to look back on, here comes ineffable grandeur, here comes ineffable delight. Here comes ineffable emptiness, here comes ineffable suffering. Here the ineffable comes. Here they come from the end of the road. Did she just cut herself away from the mirror worlds completely? Okay, I have to click to make things happen. And so the project has finally come to an end. Well, it seems that to me it's been completed exactly as the esteemed Capo de Cape has envisioned. Gorgeous! I would have loved to have it exhibited at my main gallery had it been something that could even be transported. The Chiantia star. The star that seals not only a field of variegated instant existences and moments in the continuum of time, but instead a universe-encompassing landscape, shining the light that enables temporal entanglement. It is as though that self-same star has risen before me, its gleaming is as sorrowful as that of a pearl. Speaking of which, I believe it's about time we discuss rewards for those who manage to complete it. I mean, Someone must have played a central role in seeing Project House of Spiders to its completion, yes? Too bad though, whoever it was seems to have been consumed by their own creation. Well, some probably useless trash. This thing's a real landfill after all, ain't it? Whoever got sucked into it was probably some nasty piece of shit that deserved to get discarded. The prescript dictates that the Index will take over the management of this phenomenon, effective after 3 days' time. Oh, you Index dickheads! Under no circumstances should any of the fingers express the intent to take sole ownership of our shared property. Does the will of the prescript care so little for the lives of its messengers that it would send them to die? Its objectives are enigmatic as always. What's to say the Index won't receive a prescript before 3 days pass, instructing them to share the right of possession equally amongst the fingers? Let us wait and see how things develop before leaping to action. As for the messenger, let's chuck him into the landfill. That's where garbage is supposed to be buried, right? Then the star will glimmer for yet another fleeting moment. Alright, if we uptie her one last time, raise the base power to 3 so it rolls a 12. Gain final power for every burn and bleed on the target, but gain coin power for the poise. Interesting, so that becomes 12. Hang on. 4 coin power becomes 12, plus 3 is 15. But then throw in 2 extra final power for 17. Oh wow, that's ridiculous. Final power plus 1 for every 6 burn and bleed on the target to a maximum of 2. So 15, 19, 21. Okay, there's the number that we were looking for. 10 plus 12. Final power plus 1 for every 4 poison self to a maximum of 5. So it goes from 22 to 27. Base power plus 1 for every burn and bleed on the main target to a maximum of 5. So that's 15, 27, 32. Yikes. But keeping burn and bleed on a target is kinda tricky. Deal 30% damage for every excess attack weight beyond the actual number of targets. Randomly inflict entanglement on self plus 10, blade trail. Deal extra damage on a critical hit. Entanglement times 4% of this coin's final damage. Gain pride typing on phantom step. On evade, gain 1 poise thrice per turn. It's not doing anything to upgrade her bonus skills. It's all on her base skills, I think. Oh boy. It is late, and yet I kind of want to do it. You don't have a nurse father. Your house of spiders. You do.
자유로워질 수 없어. 이 거미줄을 끊어내지 않고선.
떨림.
부름이라면
오키. 이럴 것 같아서 대기 타고 있었지.
Oh, we aren't allowed to take all of them, huh?
대상 확인했어. 시작하지. 전시 준비는 완벽하답니다. 서두르지 말고 느긋하고 여유롭게.
예측할 수 없게. 되라. 당신을 죽여라 절규하는 내 모든 시간들의 아우성이.
저를 보다 비교한
좋아. 지령에게 불확실한 것은 없네.
양반이 떠올랐어.
알고 있겠지. 예측은 의미 없다는 걸. 저렴. 본인은 최선을 다했다고 말해주시게.
So she is actually building up entangled life from her ego, even
이
though
시계 소리 또한 끊어지겠지.
she is building up an entangled life, even though she hasn't actually activated yet.
그려낸 대로. 숨 막히도록 견뎌왔고 저렇게 갈망했으니 헤아릴 수 없이 저주했으니.
The Hui Star Blade! Ren Space, Echo Shear, Ren Space. Okay, now we can do funny things.
그려낸 대로. 예측 의미 없어. 태어난 원망으로 옅어지나 낮도 밤도 지나 숨을 다하도록 배워낼 것.
Max stack of 7 entanglement, 2 string severance. Yeah, she's basically just wiping the floor with everyone now.
이 시계 소리 또한 끊어지겠지.
$10 to $25, 200%. You probably won't survive anyhow.
그려낸 대로. 세 번 베어낸다. 과거를 1000번 단조하여 베어내고 미래에서 1000번 거슬러 찢어.
After use, skills are converted into ego resources corresponding to sin affinity. Force dealt 12 damage because of her counter skill, I guess. Ah well. I
그래?
don't particularly like the idea of the unit, but maybe she is going to make up for it in the really long form content, who knows?
내가 다른
Either way,
괴물에게
until next time
다녀오니
guys, take care, I'll see you all around.
울고 싶은 건 언제나 나였어. 아비들이 내게 무엇을 바라는지 알게 된 후로 하루도 울고 싶지 않았던 날이 없었지. 그러니 당신들은 눈물 한 방울 흘려선 안 돼. 슬퍼서도 기뻐서도 그 어떤 이유에서도 울어선 안 돼.
So what happened to the Pinky nurse father in this mirror world, I have to wonder.
내가 원망한 만큼 아비인 당신들도 절망해야 공평한 거잖아. 모두 잊자. 모두 지원해자. 나는 나를 잊고 나를 지원할 테니 당신들도 내게서 세상에서 도려내져 온데간데 없이